Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk about the secrets of having a live and organic soil. And it's really not a secret. I don't know why I use the word secrets. I think I'm just running out of ideas of titles for these videos. Well, let's begin. Most of us really just leave it up to chance. We kind of just hope that the soil in our gardens has all the right stuff, even though we know better. So that's what I'll be talking about here today, how to make sure that it does have the right stuff in it for your plants to thrive. A good soil really has three parts to it. A good amount of clay, a good amount of organic material, microorganisms and micronutrients, and a good amount of sand. Now, if you've got too much clay, you will have too much water retention and your soil will be too damp. If you've got not enough clay, well, you won't have enough water retention in your soil. That's just a twofold balance kind of equation. And the same goes for sand, too much or too little. Too much sand, you have a soil that's too dry. Too little sand, you won't have a good flow of water through your soil, which is critically important. And a good measure of organic material will come back from a good lab test if you can get one done, which I'll talk about later. Now, here's a good test, which I call the snowball test for your soil. If you just want to go out into your garden right now and find out, in a ballpark what your soil has in it, based on that threefold equation I just gave you, what you do is you step out into your garden, dig up some dirt as if you were about to plant and scoop some soil into your hand, and you clump that soil together. If it sticks together like a ball of dough, you will most likely have soil that has too much clay in it. If it doesn't stick together at all, your soil is probably too heavy in sand. And if your sand forms a soft ball, but it's still crumbly like cookie dough, then it's usually got a good balance of both. That's a good initial test. Now let's talk about the more advanced testing in soil. Good balanced soil contains a lot of nutrients and micronutrients. Some of them you might know about already. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Those are the main nutrients. And then the micronutrients, which are boron, copper, zinc, iron, manganese. And here's a mouthful. Molybdenum. Say that 3 times really fast. Sodium and silicon. Now, to tell you the truth, I really don't know what all of these elements do, and I'm not an expert in this whole micronutrition part of gardening, but I do know that you need a good rounded balance of all these nutrients, and some soil will be heavily deficient in these nutrients, or all of them, not just some, and that's very bad for your plants. So what you want to do as a good gardener is do something that 90% of gardeners don't do, because they just don't know about it, or they don't know how to do it. What you want to do is get your soil tested. It's really not that difficult to get your soil tested. All you've got to do is take some soil, dig about 8 inches deep with your shovel into the soil, take that good sample of 8-inch deep soil, dry it out for a couple of days, and put it into a Ziploc bag and take it to the lab. It's very easy to find a lab. Just Google a good soil testing lab or mineral testing lab. There are many of them around. You should be able to find one locally. And what most people don't know is that it's really not that expensive. Last time I tested something, it cost me $20, $25 to test my lettuce for mineral and vitamin nutrition composition. So it's cheap, and it will save you lots of money if you're selling your stuff commercially, or it will save you tons of frustration later on when you're growing your plants and you realize they're not doing as good as you thought they would. Once you get your lab report back from the soil testing lab, it'll just basically list every single element that you asked them to test for, and it will tell you how much of that is in your soil. And there'll be, a letter L for low, M for medium, large, LG for large. Well, they have different ways of saying this, but you basically know how much of each element is in the soil. Now, depending on what your unique soil condition is, for example, you might have a soil very deficient in nitrogen, which is very important to correct right away, because as most of us know, nitrogen is critically important to plant growth. Without nitrogen, you won't get very good results at all. And that varies from it's different mineral to mineral, from micronutrient to micronutrient, you might have to do something different. Now, I'm not going to talk about all those elements and what to do about them in here, because it would take a very long time and it would turn into a huge video, but I will tell you this: one of the best things you can do for your soil is get something which I talked about earlier in my 3 secrets report, is get effective micronutrients. These are little bacteria that you can grow and cultivate on your own and add to your soil to make the soil alive. And they, believe it or not, take care of a lot of problems that you might have with your soil. They are able to supplement a lot of minerals and create them basically from scratch. But you will need to do other things like composting with natural organic composting techniques, fertilization, and I'll talk about them later on in more videos and in more reports I send your way. But for now, what I really wanted to for you to get out of this video is that one step which most of us never do. If you care about your plants, if you want to create a great harvest this year, go and get your soil tested. It's one of the most critically important things you could do, and you will thank me later for it, because it will put you miles ahead of everybody else. So, thank you very much for growing this video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to sending you more stuff soon. A bit tongue-tied today. Been a long day. Thanks. Bye-bye.